Welcome to Shelor Select. The whole system will be ready in a few minutes. Take your seat and enjoy.
All right, what it is, what it ain't, everybody. I'm back, checking up on everyone, making sure everyone's doing pretty well for themselves, living good, feeling good, all that good stuff. Doing a different podcast this evening, whatever you want to call it. Thought I would just had to come in and check up on everybody by myself. Well, sort of by myself. Making a special guest appearance. First time on the podcast, but long time brother. By blood, I got my brother here, Matt. Obviously, his last name is Shelor, for those who don't know. Say what's up, dude.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on the show.
Okay, good deal. So past few weeks I've had a lot of different guests on, talking about, some psychology, some health and wellness, even gene editing. And they've been pretty good. For me, have been great conversations just because it's something new, it's something innovative, and I enjoy those type of conversations that keep me learning and hopefully bettering myself and hopefully giving everyone some tidbits to learn from or to take with you. I mean, one thing I always hate is meetings and these big get-togethers that, how do I want to say this, is that I'm not trying to, when people want this, I guess, presentations, and that I hate going there because I get so distracted because it's not anything that I want to learn from. But if it's something I enjoy going to, so if it was a presentation about, this is what I'm trying to say, a presentation about gene editing, let's go talk about this. Matt, you ever get like that? You ever get like, oh man, I hate going to these things, especially because if it's stuff there's talking about. Well, guess what? This year, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go have these professional goals, and then we want you to do this within the year. And it's like, shut up! Nobody cares. I'm sitting here playing on my phone the whole time. But if it was something that was like, oh, okay, what are we talking about today? We're talking about how do I I improve myself? I don't know. What do you think?
I guess for me,
I feel like we have to go to those with our jobs and stuff.
Yeah, it's
everybody. I think everybody is probably obligated to.
Everybody goes through those. I know that we all hate the departmental meetings, right? The stuff that we all have to go through, but when I think of presentations, I do quite a few for my position, and I'm always thinking, I know that there's somebody in that crowd that really don't want to be there. But what can I say to engage them? What can I say that excites them and makes them want to learn about disability services?
All right, so let me just stop you right there. So before we go any further, tell everybody what you do.
Okay, I am a disability services counselor for Virginia Tech, and my role is to coordinate environmental and academic accommodations for students with various types of disabilities. I coordinate accommodations for a caseload of about 800 students, roughly.
So Tech has roughly, 30,000 students?
Yes. And
your caseload is 800?
My caseload is 800. We just crossed the 3,000 threshold as far as students served within SSD. I learned the other day.
How in the world do you keep up with 800 caseloads? I did not know that. And that makes zero sense. I mean, that seems too overwhelming for my brain to comprehend.
My philosophy always is, and I tell my new students this, and I tell my current students this, I am not a case manager, okay? A lot of them come from the K-12 environment where they have a case manager that kind of makes sure they're on track, makes sure they're doing well. I tell my students all the time, when you get to Tech, or any university for that matter, you are expected to be an adult. Yes, it's hard for some of them because they haven't developed those life skills that they are still growing into. But when they have a concern, when they need something, when something is not right, they need to let me know, because I don't have time to check on all of them.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about it, is that 800 people just to keep track of.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand how you do it. But I guess they're all not needing something at one point, right?
Right. It's not everybody needs something every day. I mean, you have to look at it as, I have to make sure that when they contact me, why are they contacting me? What's going on? My goal is to make sure that they feel like they are the most important student to me at that time, because they're paying good money to be here, and it's my job to serve them and to make sure that they have adequate access to all things Virginia Tech, whether it be in the environment, whether it be at a campus event, or whether it be academics. I want my students to succeed. I want them to do well, and I want them to have a degree from Virginia Tech.
Well, I mean, that's pretty bold of you. I think a lot of people would admire that, And I don't know if a lot of people. Do you think a lot of the people that you work with think the same way?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, we are.
Or is it just a job to them? A lot of people, I guess what I'm getting at is that they want to go in, they do their 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever it is, whatever they get done that day is all right, good to go. But
right. I would hope so. I would hope that I can't speak for colleagues, and I'm not going to, but I would hope that my colleagues, and this goes within any department throughout the university, I would hope that you come to work every day with some emotion, because you have an opportunity to make a difference in somebody's life. And if you, my thinking is, if you don't do something with emotion, if you don't really put your heart into it, why are you there?
Well, I agree 100% because, a lot of people just seem to be going through the life of, or go through the motions of everything, and if they're just doing it just to do it. But if, people who are really passionate about something, they take more pride into it, which exactly sounds like what you're doing, and they put forth with better effort, and they strive to give that 100%. I always hate it when people say, like, "Oh, I give 110%." Well, 100% is 100%. But I do get the cliche of it, I guess.
But you know what? When they say, when I give 110%, what does 110% look like to you?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, I do what's expected of me, but I do that extra little bit to get ahead."
What is that extra little bit?
It could be anything. It could be just, as I said, some people just do the regular 9 to 5, and then when they're leaving the office, and if they see a phone call come in at 4:59 or right there at 5:00, 5:00, I don't do anything. And I can relate to that just because I've worked in, manufacturing before, that's one of my first jobs, and that, hey, once that bell rings, we're done. We're going home. It didn't matter what was there, unless you were said, "Hey, we're working overtime," or they said, "Hey, you're gone."
But that first job taught you to want more, did it not?
Well, yeah, I mean, it does teach you to want more, just because. I mean, you can make life what you want it to be. You can say, "Hey, I'm content on working these types of jobs that, I go in, do my thing, then I'll leave." And some people enjoy that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also people that say, like, I don't want to punch a clock the rest of my life. I want to give more. I want to, like you just said, make a difference in somebody's life. I have more to give out there, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's a tough argument, but not sure what my point is here. But I guess it's just a matter of situation, or a matter of what your goals and values are.
Well, and I think at some point when you stop setting goals And when you stop having ambition, when you start becoming content, that's when you start to lose it.
So when you say you're content that, okay, this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life, that's fine, and then I'm not going to strive to do anything better?
Right, but at that point you start, well, I'll go into work and do what I need to do, but am I really making a difference in somebody's life? Do I still have the same energy every day?
I don't know. I mean, it's something to think about. That, because, for me, that I enjoy helping people. I like contributing and doing what I can, even though I might have a small skill set. But, if I've learned something that somebody else hasn't, because I mean, maybe somewhere down the road that I found that in my life that somebody gave that part to me, and I was like, and it made me feel good. While I also know that it probably made them feel good as well. So, yeah, maybe that's why I enjoy trying to give back in any way I can.
But your skill set is not small. Every skill you have can be magnified. I think it's a mindset that we get into that makes them small.
So what do you mean your mindset, that you're saying that, hey, this is the only thing I can do. I know that I'm not going to go outside my box. Right.
And it's what I'm saying is I think we get in a mindset, well, I'm not as, we all compare ourselves. It's human nature to compare yourself to somebody else. Well, I don't have the talent that my other coworker does, or X amount of coworker does. So I'm just, I'm not going to strive for more because there's no way I can excel.
There's a great quote. Roosevelt said, "Comparison's a thief of joy."
Yes, he did.
And I agree 100%. So that, and we might go down a different road here, but this is one of the issues with living in a modern society that we have now, with everything that we get all these with screens in front of us. And I'm not advocating that we should not look up screens or get on social media, because I do it obviously. I don't know how much percentage of the time, but when you start looking up Instagram, somebody's Instagram, and it's just somebody's highlight reel. It's all it is, and that's when it seems like that. You comparing yourself. Oh, they're at Bali tonight. Living it up, like said person. And it's like, then now it's like, oh well, I'm just stuck here at the house watching a movie, and that's when things seem to go south for people.
But see, that's when you start getting into thinking, well, am I successful because I'm not out at the club and I'm just content being at home? Success looks different for a lot of people. I mean, take myself for example. If for those of you that don't know, I do have a physical disability. I've had cerebral palsy all my life, and if I had believed everything society said about me, would I be where I am? Probably not. I would be sitting at home depending on somebody else to help me out. But I didn't buy into that. I didn't buy into that mindset. So I wanted to change it. I wanted to make something of myself. And I think that's where we become small. We think we can only reach a certain point.
Did you pick up that motivation from? Do you think you just had that, or did you find it somewhere just throughout life?
No, it's
saying, hey, I can either do this or I'm trying to trade up.
It's life experiences.
Really?
There's nothing, everybody has a life experience that shapes who they are. If they tell you they don't, then I think they're lying to themselves and to everybody else. Life experiences for me, I mean, I don't want to pick on anybody or anything, but there were times that when I was younger that I was discriminated against. I can think of a time when the big Washington D.C. trip. I wanted to go. Everybody wants to go to D.C.
Wait, when you say the Washington D.C. trip, is this like the 6th and 7th grade?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I'm talking about the 6th and 7th grade. Washington D.C. trip.
I don't know if everybody. I'm just
Right.
saying. I don't know if everybody has that in their school system.
Right.
But for those who don't know that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in if 6th grade you would go to Williamsburg and 7th grade would go to Williamsburg, but then the next year it would vice versa.
Yep.
Yeah. So that way everybody had a chance to go to.
We went to Richmond and Washington different years. But I know when I was, my 6th grade year, I was excited, man. You get to go on a big trip with all your buddies and get to have all these things. Well, I had a wheelchair. I don't use it full time, but at the time I used a wheelchair because they were worried about the distances of walking, and you can understand that being DC. But one of the things that I always remember is a bunch of my friends and I got together and they said, well, we'll put your name on the board and you'll get to room with us. Well, at the time, the principal came in and said, Matt can't room with you guys. He'll be going with us, but he'll be rooming with the janitor. And how demeaning is that for a 11-year-old that had never been told he was different. That made you feel different. And part of the trip, I remember when we got to the Eternal Flame and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, when everybody got off the bus to go, I wasn't able to go because, they didn't want to deal with the wheelchair on the heels.
Do you think this is because our education system at the time didn't know how to deal with that, or is it just a matter of let's take the easy road out?
I think
just say we can't do it.
I think it was a combination of both. You look at it. The Americans with Disabilities Act was still very young.
Mm-hmm.
It just eclipsed 30 years this past July, but so I think it was a little bit of both. And
so would that be about 1980 when it came around?
It's about It was in the 90s.
Oh, 1990.
It was in the 90s. It was passed by the first Bush.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was a little bit of both. The ADA was still young at the time, and the sad thing is you still see it. You still see it in the school systems today. Because I talk to students all the time who come from K-12 and say, I had such a hard time getting accommodations in K-12 because the system is not what it needs to be, and the college environment is just different. I'm here to help people. I'm here to remove barriers and allow access so they can flourish, not to deny them anything.
So, is it because that the public education system, as far as K through 12 goes, they're not adapted as far as how higher education is to deal with? Do you think?
I think maybe it's,
or is it just, or I mean, where you and I grew up, I mean, it's very rural, but if you go to like, a bigger city with more, bigger resources, more opportunities, right. I mean, maybe, a higher population and more people who've dealt with people who with disabilities.
Well, I think you touched on it. Every school system has different resources. Mm-hmm. But my argument to that is, no matter what resources you have, are you maximizing them?
I don't know.
Are you maximizing them? Are you removing the stigma that comes with, oh boy, this 6-year-old kid is on crutches? What is he going to do with his life? Yeah. That is what I'm talking about. We have to get beyond the stigma, and I think it's more, to me, the idea is it's society that disables you, not the disability itself.
So you're saying it's everybody living in society that disables you?
I mean, if you look at society, when they build, I mean, before the ADA, when they build new buildings, when they build new halls and different things,
Mm-hmm.
is the first thing they think of accessibility?
Probably not.
No, because you think of, how can we make my building the best? You don't think of the ramp. You don't think of the ramp that needs to go in it for somebody with a wheelchair that to get them access. And it's, I hate to say it, but as you build all these nice buildings on university campuses, no matter what the campus is, they have to think about it now. But you build a new residence hall. Okay, great, but you've allowed them, you've given them a disability accommodating room. Okay,
Yeah.
but let's say they want to go visit their friend on the second floor,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no elevator. Okay, so the argument would be, well, can't the friend come down? Can't the friend just come down to them? Well, they could, but why not? Why not give them the freedom to use the whole building?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird that, plus, yeah, you can come down to them, but what are you going to sit in the common area?
Right.
Yeah, where, you'd obviously have more privacy in your actual room.
Right.
So, I don't think it's a very good argument. I mean, yeah, it's an argument. Yeah, okay, yeah, anybody can go anywhere.
It's a money argument.
So you're saying that they don't want to pay for these extra... When I say they, what do you mean, like taxpayers or people or certain individuals running,
right?
or building that building?
It's a general day. It can be, and it's not so much taxpayers, because the buildings that are going up are on the owners of that building.
Yeah.
And they're not, people don't think about it, but to make a building accessible, it costs a lot of money. And if they can, they're trying to build a nice building, but they're trying to do it without breaking the bank.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's almost every project that comes in with, I guess anything that, hey, this is our budget, so what's the best that we can do?
Right.
And so people are going to start taking shortcuts and cutting out certain things that they don't absolutely need. And then I guess what you're saying is that's one of the actual things, like, oh, well, we don't need this ramp here.
Right.
We'll do it, or we'll do this instead.
But, I mean, the other piece of it, let's say a movie theater. Okay? If you build a brand spanking new movie theater, everybody likes to go to the movie theater, or they did before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you build this nice movie theater, but there's steps, and a wheelchair user, a full-time wheelchair user, who would love to go to the movies and get that movie popcorn. Everybody loves that movie popcorn.
I know I do.
Yeah, I know you do, but they get to the movie theater, they get all psyched up to see the movie, Suicide Squad. They get all psyched up, and all of a sudden, well, crap, there's steps here, so I can't go with my friend, and my friends who want me to be part of this have to spend time, lugging my wheelchair up the steps just so I can go.
Mm-hmm.
That's for a person with a disability, that is pretty demeaning.
I mean, I get that 100% because, a lot of people don't look at things through another person's, or they don't walk in another person's shoes, or look at life in your eyes, for example. So, you're wanting to go out and have a good time, and then all of a sudden, an obstacle like that comes into place, and then, it's just like the whole energy goes down.
Right.
And then it makes you feel bad, and I get that 100%, and it sucks.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know any other word for it. It fucking sucks. And, I hate it. But I mean, are we seeing newer buildings, though, that come back and they're actually advocating for people with disabilities
think,
and making things more accessible, or is it just are we dealing with buildings that are just been built before the American Disabilities Act?
And that is a lot what you run into is that, if these buildings were built before the ADA was passed, they don't have to be accessible because they're grandfathered in unless you modify them. Now, you modify the building, it has to be accessible. But in most cases, I think we have made great strides in making society more accessible, but we can do more. And it doesn't matter what year it's going to be, you can always do more.
So you're saying, all right, so you said earlier the American Disabilities Act was in the 90s?
Rocky.
So if any building before that was built in before 1990s, they don't have to comply with ADA.
Correct.
Unless they decide to make a change.
Unless they modify the building, they do not. Right.
But any building after the ADA now has to make sure they're in compliance.
Unless they have been deemed a before 90 or a historical building.
Mm-hmm. Oh, a historical building.
Mm-hmm. Your historical buildings, which kind of go along the same line.
You mean like the Lincoln statue?
I'm talking about those type of things.
So they don't have to do anything with that. They can just keep it as it is.
Unless, again, if they modify it, they do, but it gets kind of tricky with the historical pieces of it.
So because they can say that, hey, this is a historical piece, we're not going to modify this because it'll take away the integrity of it.
It takes away the history, so it may come down to that.
I get that, but I don't get it. I'm on the fence about it because you want everybody to enjoy it, and I do understand that, if we do this, and that means it's going to change a bunch of things for it, but I didn't realize it went to historical buildings.
Yeah, it does.
So, when I was in Philadelphia, I think I went 2 or 3 years ago, and I saw Independence Hall, but I didn't go inside it. I think I didn't even go that close to it, actually, but I just kind of walked around it. But I didn't even bother to look at it. I wondered, how accessible is this? So that's what you're talking about, though, that if it was only stairs to get in there,
right?
They could just say, "No, we're not going to build a ramp." Can they just say that we're not building a ramp?
Well, I mean, they'd have to.
Or do you have to go through a bunch of?
They'd have to be able to justify it. They'd have to say, "If you're not going to build a ramp, how would building that ramp take away the historical significance of the building?" Tell me that, and good luck trying to justify it.
Well, I mean, all right, I'll play devil's advocate here. That I think you can justify. Well, you can't. You can justify stuff, but how well do you justify it? Is what we're coming down to. But so we'll say, all right, we're talking about Independence Hall. So if I said, well, they didn't have ramps in 1776. I mean, I don't know. Do they have ramps? I'm sure they did. When I say they, did we have ramps in 1776?
Probably not.
So that's going to take away the historical value because it's not historically correct because nobody had a ramp.
Right. But is there something about building that ramp that takes away from the history?
I mean, for me, no. I mean, I could care less.
Right.
I mean, now say if we go, it's the outside of the building. I mean,
right.
If you painted it, whatever, I think it's brick, but if you painted a different color, okay, cool. But if you go inside it and start changing things, I think that might, let's say if you put an elevator inside it. Right. Okay, obviously they didn't have an elevator in 1776.
Right. But, for anything, if you're going to deny any modification or accommodation, you better have...
You got to do your homework.
Yeah. You better have a good, solid justification as to why.
I get that. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's just, just don't do it just because, whatever, I'm just going to do it. Just do it because, hey, this is important. There's reasons why, and even it allows, like you were talking about earlier, allows you to actually take in a piece of history or a piece of whatever. I mean, even walking in. I mean, this could not. So let's just not talk about historically places, but I know you're a sports fan, and that even if you wanted to go see a game at Wrigley Park, God, my allergies killing me today. Yeah, I mean, you would want to be able to get somebody roll in there and watch one.
And see, they modified Wrigley Field to the point where
It was built in what, like the 30s?
Yeah.
Was it?
It was built after.
I got a Google box here.
Not long after Fenway, but
Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
Built.
It was. Now you can.
1914.
Okay, so it was about 2 years after Fenway Park, but if you
Fenway Park. Wait.
Fenway was built in 1912.
You know that for a fact?
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's Google.
You want to check me on that? I bet you $5.
Fenway Parkway.
$5. Says it was built in 1912.
All right.
Titanic sunk.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, you're right about 1912, but I forgot Titanic was 19. That was 1912 too. Interesting.
It was completed the year. I mean, not year, but the week after. It opened up the week after Titanic sank.
Fenway is the oldest stadium in Major League Baseball and one of the most famous.
Yes.
Oh.
And by the way, the Red Sox are still winning baseball games at Fenway. But yeah, but it's a lot of those ballparks have been modified to keep the historical pieces of it, like Fenway, like Wrigley Field, and you still have access to be able to go see it. And I remember going to the Braves game in '97, and of course I haven't had my wheelchair then, but the stadium did not have the accessible entrance. I believe was around back. So, I remember Grandpa having to push me all around just to find a way to get me in the stadium.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know another word for it. It just sucks, dude.
Yes, it does. But society's getting better. I think, like I said, we're getting better. I think we've made long strides, but there's a lot more that can be done.
Well, if you had a magic wand and you were able to wave it and say, "Hey, there's a lot more that can be done," what would you do to say, "All right, this is the world we need"?
Right. If I had a magic wand, I don't think I'd focus it on accessibility. I'd focus it on more acceptance.
How do you mean?
I think we, as people, still, we still have a stereotype when it comes to people with disabilities. Okay? And it's not just people with disabilities, it's people in general. Okay? But I'm using disabilities because that's what I've lived and that's what I work in. But, you look at a person with a disability and you automatically think, well, what kind of life do they have? If you didn't know me, and a lot of you don't, but if you were to look at me out at a restaurant or any type walking on crutches, what kind of life does he have? My life's pretty good compared to his. How do you know that? And don't have the idea that I feel like that I'm broken. I'm not broken. I think people look at people with disabilities, and it can be any type of disability, and it stinks to be him. No, it don't stink to be me. I don't suffer. It's just that stigma that I'm talking about. Let's get rid of that. Let's accept people for who they are and start looking at how we can make the world a better place for not just people with disabilities, but for everybody.
I mean, that's what the world's dealing with now. I mean, obviously, you know as well as I know that we're all going down this road of racism and bigots and, and obviously people with disabilities is not major news right now, but it seems that that's what the whole world is kind of. We've all separated ourselves, that you're on one side or the other.
But see, that's the thing. You say people with disabilities are not major news right now. Maybe we're not, but
I'm not saying that you're not major news. I'm just saying that you don't hear CNN and Fox News talking about that.
Right, because
much.
they're too busy focusing on other things. But the problem is we need to start paying attention to those issues. People don't think about it. People want to ignore the fact that disability is the only group anybody can join at any point in your life. Okay?
Wait. So you're just saying, like tomorrow, there could be a chance I was in a car accident.
You could.
I mean, I'm not saying there's not, but that's what you mean, though. That I didn't think about it that way. That there is a chance that one day.
Look.
I mean, there was a guy. I'll have to look him up now. He. Sorry, folks. I'm looking this up. I broke his. Kevin Ogart. He was in a CrossFit competition, and he was doing a snatch, and he broke his back. Now he's in a wheelchair.
One time.
Yeah, and it was a fluke incident. I don't even think he was going even that heavy. It was just.
Right, and it's something that people want to ignore because they don't want to think about, not having the ability to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, but at the same time, people don't want to think about getting old. You don't have to think about, a car accident. That's an obvious one, but we're all going to get old, right?
That's what time tells us.
Yeah, well, we're all going to lose the ability to do something. Well, when you have a limitation, that makes you disabled.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I work for a nonprofit, Neighborhood Valley Disability Research Center, for 8 years before moving to tech, and our major focus, one of the major focuses we had, was helping people remain in their homes. Well, if a person can't shower, how can they remain in their home? If a person has to constantly stay in their home because they can't get out, because they can't use the steps like they once did, how does that impact their mental health? How does that impact their quality of life? So, I mean, you're going to eventually lose, well, hopefully not, but eventually be limited by age or by anything else at any given time. And you don't want to think about it, because thinking about it means you've lost an ability that you once had. People ask me all the time, well, wouldn't you like to walk? Why?
Well, you can walk, but you have crutches.
Well, yeah, but wouldn't I like to walk without crutches? Okay, my question to you is, yeah, to you that would make my life better. But to me, I say to you is, I would have to learn a whole new way of life compared to what I'm used to. I know how to, right now, I've gotten used to how I do things.
Uh-huh.
I know how to get up and get dressed and get ready and do all those things. If I don't, if I was to not have the crutches anymore and be able to walk with them, I've got to learn a whole new way of life.
Well, you don't want that change? What if it was a change? Yeah, you have to learn a whole new way of life, and I understand that. But if it was learning a new way that would better yourself,
but can you guarantee that?
I don't know. If someone said, we talked about that magic wand. If somebody said, "Here, you don't need crutches anymore. You can walk without them."
Yeah, but see, to me, and I get where you're coming from, but to me, that's where I say, my disability is my superpower. And you think, how's your superpower? Well, my disability allows me to connect with my students in a way some can't.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through the wars of college as a person who used the accommodations that I often authorize. I teach them how to navigate with professors and deal with those things. And would I be in my position where I am now without my disability? Maybe. But would I be as passionate about it if I didn't have my disability?
I mean, I agree with that because you can relate to your students, but and then without your disability, like for me, I could not. Like, I understand what they're going through just because I know you, but I can't ultimately relate to it. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And it's just like for me, I can't relate to what you do at CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
Not a minute. I respect what you do. I have immense admiration for what you do, but you wouldn't catch me dead doing it.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot that you can do as far as body weight movements and kettlebells and dumbbells. I mean, we've been down this road before talking about it.
Yeah, but you've been walking on my hands and all other things.
Well, I mean, that's not just because you have a disability.
Right.
That's even people who don't have a disability.
I know that. I mean, I have great admiration for everybody that does it. I respect it. I love it, but I've learned to live a life that I don't begrudge who I am. Mm-hmm. My disability is who I am. It's a big part of who I am. It's what makes me good at my job, and it's what motivates me to be better.
Well, that's good. That's admirable. I mean, you don't hear that from a lot of people. Kind of what I said earlier. Just people were just working for the paycheck, and that's it, and go home.
I mean, if you think about it, I wasn't even supposed to do this. I was the kid that when I was born, I was told I wouldn't walk, talk, or do anything.
Was that because that was just the doctor's?
That was the doctor's opinion. Yeah.
But do you think it was just because that when you were born, you started growing, just everything started developing?
I don't know.
Your mind started developing and your body developed into your environment.
I really don't know. I think I have to give a lot of that credit to you as my brother, but to also my mom. I mean, Mom.
Oh, shout out, Mom.
Yeah, well, you knew Mom was going to get a shout out on the show, right? But, Mom pushed me. No, my entire family pushed me. I was never the kid that was left out.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like. That's why, going back to the experience I had with the Washington trip, that's why the Washington trip was so weird to me. I'd never been made to feel different. Mm-hmm. And I'm not different. I just walk different. Mm-hmm. But that's who I am. And it's but without my disability I wouldn't have that motivation factor.
Yeah, so speaking of that, like a lot of people would just accept it, but you know how life is going to be. So when you said that, the doctor's opinion was that, nah, this guy ain't going to do nothing. But, I mean, I've talked about a lot with my friends and stuff that, that's part of a motivation when, somebody might fat shame me or something. Not to say that no one ever has, and I'm not saying that you should go out and fat shame people. But for me, that if somebody was like, nah, dude, you looking a little fat tonight. Then it fires me up. It's like, all right, I'll show y'all, whatever. Right. But I get that, hey, somebody says, hey, you're not going to do this and this and this. And then, that fire burns inside you and you say, give me a couple of days. We'll see what goes on here now.
Well,
it's bold. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people, just like you were saying, just, okay, I'll just sit here and just lay in the cut. Fuck it.
All you have to do is tell me I can't do something. Mm-hmm. And I found a way to do it. I remember when I was an intern during my graduate career. I had somebody say, well, it's part of, when you go on interviews, you're going to have to make somebody see past the, past the crutches, past the walker. Yeah, I knew that. Does it make it harder? Yeah. But hey, I had something I wanted to do, and I just kept at it. And now I get to do something I love every single day.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people don't find that. I don't know if we touched on that earlier, but I think we kind of said a little bit about it. But yeah, a lot of people, you think work is not work. You think it's, I forgot what the expression I'm looking for is, that if you go to do something you love every day, it's not work.
It's not work.
It's actually something you enjoy.
Do I think work is work? No. I think I love what I do. There are challenges to it, like any job, but at the end of the day, I come home and I love what I do. And when I lose that love for it, when I lose that passion for it, it's time to go do something else. And I talked about earlier, working with emotion. Do everything you do with emotion. Because if there's no emotion in it, who you actually benefit?
Oh, so you're saying that when you say emotion, if you're just kind of, if things are going bad or well, you're just kind of in the balance in the middle, and you're not doing anything.
I mean,
it's like, what's the point?
Right. When you lose that emotion, that fire that burns inside, and you start just going through the motion, you get complacent, and then you lose. You start growing as a person, you start growing as an individual, and you start growing as a professional.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about growing. Do you see yourself doing this the rest of your life, or do you see yourself? You think you might want to move into greener pastures? Bigger greener pastures?
I tell you, I had that question earlier this week, and I'll answer it this way. I don't plan on being a discipline counselor for the next 15 years. I've always strived for the top chair. There's always something in me that wants to be the top dog, and I don't know why. It's just there. That's my motivation. Right now, to put it in a sports analogy, I feel like I'm an assistant coach.
Okay.
I'm learning how to be better. I'm growing as a professional, but I don't want to sit in the third chair all day for 15 years. Mm-hmm. I eventually want to move up to the associate head coach, and I eventually want to move up to the top chair. I don't know where that's going to be, but it's something that I continue to want to do.
That's good. Yeah, like I said earlier, a lot of people don't. A lot of people say, "Hey, if you're going to flip burgers, or just do it and just say, all right, I'm content with doing this." But a lot of people, there's some people out there that, hey, I'm going to be the best damn burger flipper out there.
Yeah. And I'm not. I've got a competitive fire in me. It's not one of my top 5 strengths, but it's in there, and I strive. I want to be the best counselor on my team.
Good.
Because if I'm the best counselor on my team, it benefits the students of Virginia Tech.
Tech, baby. Shout out to them.
Yeah. Shout out to Blacksburg. But I'm excited to see where my career is going to go. And if I see an opportunity, it may not be in Blacksburg. Okay, but I'm not. Once I feel like I'm seasoned and ready to go, and time will tell me that.
So, do you think higher education is the place to be, or do you see yourself into a private sector?
I don't want to close the door on private sector. I've never closed the door on anything. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, this is what higher education is what I went to school to get my master's in. I have a master's in counseling and development with a concentration in student affairs. So this is what I want to do. I love doing it. I've loved doing it since I was a student government at Radford. So I want to make a career of it, and it's a pretty good career to be honest with you. Takes good care of its people, and I'm just really excited to be part of it. And but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be a tech for 15 years. I think, hoping you're at the same place for 15 years, I think it's a little short-sighted. And I think at times you can outgrow your position, and you have to go where the opportunity is.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, if that's what a lot of we've been saying this for the last how long we've been talking, but a lot of people are just content where they're at, and a lot of people do maybe outgrow their position, and then hey, I just want to stay here because they're either scared of change or or they're just content on they found their way of life and that's what they want. But
and look, I'm not here saying that a person who's content and is happy, then be content and be happy. Okay, not every student that comes to my door, if Virginia Tech is going to graduate from Virginia Tech. I hope they do, but there's a lot more that goes into that. Maybe they didn't succeed at Tech, but maybe they go close to home, go to Georgia Tech or something, another university, and find their place. What I'm saying is just find your place. If you're content, being happy, and working at the same job for 40 years, good for you.
Yeah, a lot of people can't find their place, and they don't do it in life, and they don't. A lot of people look. Human species is almost has to look for their tribe, and a lot of people can't find it. And a lot of people, I keep saying a lot of people, and I shouldn't, but CrossFit's probably my tribe, and my family's my tribe, and a lot of people just they don't have that, and they can't find it. And sometimes they do find a tribe, and sometimes it's just because they're accepted into something, and maybe something they're not with, and they don't feel strongly about, but they were just accepted, and then that just changes their morals and values.
It's an identity.
Yeah.
It's an identity, and once you find it, you're good to go.
But a lot of people they find the wrong identity. It seems like.
But sometimes
not a lot. I keep saying a lot of people.
Sometimes it takes the wrong identity to realize the right one.
You can't really know where you can go forward until you know where you've been. It's a bold statement.
And don't forget where you've been.
Yeah, a lot of people forget how they grew up. And
never forget where you've been, because that's when you change as a person.
Hopefully for the better. Well, dang. We got a little hot and heavy. Not hot, we got a little heavy on this conversation. I didn't expect it to go down this road. I thought it was just going to be, let's talk about sports and talk about bullshit and whatnot. All right, well, let's change gears real quick. Basketball just won a gold medal. Did you see it?
Yeah, well, I didn't see it, but I'm glad they did. Kevin Durant really rose to the occasion. If not for Kevin, I'm not sure the U.S. Would have won the gold medal. It's a good thing they did. They kept the streak of Olympic success for basketball going. And guess what? They did it without Coach K. Okay?
Well, they got Coach Pop, baby.
Yeah, they got
Popovich.
Pop,
man.
They got Popovich. Coach K's ready to go sit on the beach somewhere and sip a drink or two. But I was happy for them. That first loss to France kind of woke him up, I guess. But Kevin Durant really played exceptional, and they're putting him in the echelon of Olympic greats because of his play.
I was trying to see if I could figure out how he did last night. How hard is it?
They should. If you check ESPN.com. They probably have it.
Yeah, I was just Googling. All right, here we go. This might be it. So you're saying it was because of KD that did all the work?
I don't want to say he did all the work. He was the driving force behind it.
Okay, so, he had 29 points, and then we have Lillard and Holiday with 11 for the next two. Well, Jason Tatum from the bench came off the bench with 19. I'm surprised Tatum wasn't starting.
Yeah, don't forget that. He played at Duke. I mean, come on. Duke guys don't start in the NBA.
I thought Kyrie was on the Olympic team.
No, he's not on the
Oh, okay. Well, I see why. I mean, KD's kind of one of the heavy hitters on the team. Well, there's Booker, 2 points. 0 for 4 on field goals. Good job, Booker. You pissed off about the finals?
He might be. He might be. But KD played really well. If not for him.
Well, they didn't even. JaVale McGee didn't even play.
Yeah, well.
He got a gold medal, though.
Well, and, JaVale was not on the original team. Kevin Love actually was with Bradley Beal. And
what happened to them two?
They contracted COVID and could not play. So they got JaVale was a last minute ad.
What do you think? Kind of switching gears here for sports. We heard that we're not going to have no vaccine passports to show that you've been vaccinated. But now New York is requiring that you show a vaccine, that you've had the vaccine just to go eat in, go to the gym, or etc.
But how can you?
What do you mean?
I think that's...
Well, if you got the card, you can show it. Is that what you're saying?
Sure, but can we really require cards? I mean,
I don't like it. I don't...
To me, that's you can't require... A person with a medical condition can't be required to get the vaccine. I mean,
Sure.
You tell me I can't eat here because I don't have a card.
That's what New York is saying. But that was part of the argument with vaccines is that, hey, if you want to go see a concert, you're going to have to show that you got the vaccine. If you want to go eat, if you want to go fly a plane or go, fly somewhere, you got to show that you got the vaccine.
What?
Which they were saying that was not going to happen, and now New York has already placed it into the state. So do you think we're going to see a lot of the other states do that?
I hope not.
Same.
I hope not. I think I think Virginia has done well with our vaccine numbers. We can do better. As every state can do better. But I think you're going to start telling people that maybe they can't. Maybe they want to get the vaccine, but maybe they can't because of some medical condition.
Yeah.
Pre-existing condition. Okay. You tell me that I can't eat at McDonald's anymore because
That's what...
I don't have a card?
So how would that work if you went through drive-thru? Do you have to show that you had it if you go through the drive-thru?
I would hope not. Just get DoorDash.
Yeah, I mean, even if you get DoorDash, if somebody comes to your house, I mean, do you have to say, "Hey, I got my vaccine card. You can deliver food now"?
You can do the Home Alone. Just leave it on my doorstep and get the heck out. But
I like that. Leave it on the doorstep and get the hell out of here.
It's just, I think, I want people to be protected and be smart. But I think we as a society are going a little too far with it.
A little too extreme.
Mm-hmm. You've got to allow people to have their rights. Okay? If people have a right to choose. If they don't want to get vaccinated, fine. If they don't want to get vaccinated, fine.
Yeah.
But that should not cost them a job.
Oh.
It shouldn't.
Well, this is what it's showing, that just because you had the vaccine, now that we even knew this before we got the vaccine, that you can still carry the virus and give it to people who are non-vaccinated.
Right. Yeah. But
so
now like you said, now we know. Is the vaccine going to 100% prevent everything? No. So, we have, as a society, I think we have to be careful. We have to be safe, but we have to get back to life. Whatever it looks like now, we have to get back to life.
Yeah, I mean, it was going back on earlier what you said that, I think people do want to work. I think people do want to be out. There is some days that people want to be cooped up in the house, but it's not good for people's mental health.
No.
That just to sit at home and, I mean, some people can do it, but, I don't think the majority of people want that.
But, I mean, how much Netflix can you watch in a day?
I'm sure there's some people who can just fucking crush it, but yeah, but I mean, obviously some people, I would hope, want to walk outside and at least get a breath of fresh air and look at the sun. I mean, that's what, they're saying that, some researchers are saying that, people with a lack of vitamin D is the reason why COVID is hitting them so hard.
Maybe so.
And that part of it, vitamin D, you go outside, get it from the sun.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can supplement it, but sometimes you just go outside and you get it from the sun.
I just think we have to. I'm not saying loosen restrictions. I'm not saying not have restrictions. I'm saying we have to get back to life. Yeah. We have to. We have to get back to sporting events. We have to get back to concerts. We have to get back to those things because those things are what give people joy. And when you take the joy away, then mental health starts to deteriorate.
Yeah, because they're not doing what they want to do. And they're just told, hey, you have to sit here and watch TV. I mean, there's only so much things you can do inside, and you can do them, through technology. It helps a lot now, but still, people want to interact. They just,
Right.
People don't want to just sit on, video games and conference calls.
The
They want the actual human interaction. Actually, they want the real thing.
Well, it depends on who you talk to. Some people like it.
I agree. I think there is, but but they can still get a dose of human interaction through family or friends, but it's a small dose, and then that's all they needed. But I still think, and I knew, I've read articles and stories of people who just go and live in the wilderness and in the forest by themselves, and they're fine. That's I guess there's exemptions to everything, to all the rules, but.
I know that it doesn't work for me. I know working from home works for some people, but it just doesn't work for me. I like to have the ability to go, even if it is at 7 o'clock in the morning. I like to have the ability to go. I like to have the ability to walk into my office and at the end of the day, when I close the door, I can be done. Mm-hmm. And that's just my philosophy.
I like that. All right, we're running short on time here. Well, I was going to ask you, did you bet on the game last night?
Did I bet on
the USA basketball?
I did not bet on USA basketball.
Did you bet on the match?
I did not bet on them. Every time I bet on them, they kind of screwed it up. So I feel like that if I probably bet on them, they'd probably have a silver medal right now. But no, but I did bet on some baseball. And my FanDuel account is looking pretty nice right now.
Yeah.
Excited for football and all this time money I'll be making on football, or maybe losing.
I think from when college football starts, that there'll be a college football game or NFL football game every week until the end of the year.
From now on, yes.
Yeah.
Because preseason NFL started Thursdays. So now, if you want to find a football game, it'll be on.
Foosball.
Yeah. But we still got baseball playoffs to go through before we get to football.
How's the football team look this year? And when I say the football team, I mean the Washington.
My awesome football team. Well, I think our defense. I think our defense is going to be better. It was top in the league last year. Still a little bit worried about the quarterback situation, but you sign a 38-year-old journeyman in Fitzpatrick, and you pray and hope he can throw the ball. But
You like him?
do I like him? We'll find out.
He seems to have a good social media presence.
Well,
he's kind of funny with his beard and just. Wasn't he at Tampa before?
He's been at Tampa. He's been at Miami. He's been at Cincinnati. But we'll find out how much I like him at first game against the Chargers.
You think football team's going to get a actual team name soon, or
they are saying that once they get all the sexual harassment suits taken care of. Good job, Daniel Snyder. But they do plan to have a team name next year. But they don't want to. They're not divulging what it will be.
Sounds like the football team's got a tough road ahead.
Well, when did they not? But they are actually, if you look at the sports books, they're actually picked to finish second in the East.
What do you think about the Indians' name change? We'll go to baseball real quick.
I think you want to change the name, fine. But I think you could have picked 100 different names. Better than what the Guardians.
The Guardians, man. I hate, and the logo sucks too. It's a G with wings.
Yeah.
Sick, bro. That really fires me up.
Your boy, I mean, you think of the legacies of Cleveland and all the things that Cleveland's been through, and the best thing you can come up with is the Guardians.
Yeah.
I mean, and people, you know what? Right now, people don't care because Baker Mayfield and the boys are about to hit the field.
Mm-hmm.
Football is the mecca in Cleveland. It will always be because LeBron's playing in LA. And
what do you think when LeBron was there, though? Basketball was the mecca? Clearly, because they actually won championships over the Browns. I would think.
Won.
Well, how many did the Browns win?
Well, I think it was close. But I think if you were to talk to anybody from Cleveland, at the end of the day, they would tell you it's Browns football. But that's just
they have a rich history.
Yeah, they do. Very, very legendary history. Great players, but
I mean, Cleveland Cavaliers didn't really have anything until they had Mark Price.
Well, yeah.
Brad Daugherty. Then LeBron came around.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing Cleveland was known for is to have a shot that Michael hit over Craig Elo several years ago.
Yeah, that he did his famous jump in the air.
Yeah, the jump in the air and the fist pump.
Yeah, Space Jam, baby.
Yeah.
I think it's on there.
The actual decent Space Jam. But
the goal was pretty good. The first one was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, the second one was pretty good. It wasn't terrible.
It wasn't terrible. But, Cleveland has a history of heartbreak when it comes to sports. I mean, if you think back to the '97 World Series, that base hit by Craig Counsell, that went in the center field, it just broke Cleveland's heart and gave the Marlins the '97 World Championship.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, you lose a game like that, I'd be upset.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you don't get over. You just don't
get
over.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like it just lives with you, back of your mind. Well, not even probably the back of your mind. You probably think about it every day. I think I would.
Yeah, I would be too. Think about the poor Braves fans. I mean, they've had one World Series. All those great teams that they've had. One World Series in '95.
Chipper Jones.
Well, Chipper wasn't on that team.
It wasn't?
No.
Andre Jones. Fred McGriff.
Andre was not on that team.
Who the fuck was on the team? Greg Maddux. Tom Glavine.
Glavine. Yeah.
Brad Klontz.
Klontz was...
He's a Patrick County boy. Didn't he win a championship?
He was on that team. Actually, I think it was his rookie year. David Justice hit the homer in Game 6 to give him a championship.
No. Shows how much I fucking remember. Okay. Well, so David Justice.
Yep.
I do remember him.
Then he went to the Yankees and his entire career went.
They go to Yankees in Oakland?
Yeah. Yankees basically gave him to Oakland. They paid, if you watch Moneyball, they paid the majority of his salary to go play for somebody else.
Yankees did?
Yeah.
But then he actually played well.
Well, he did. That team, that was the team for Oakland that won in a row.
Yeah. Was it 20 or 22?
It was 20.
Oh, okay.
But,
Just fact check this.
I swear he's gonna fact check everything. I can't tell you, but yeah, they won in a row that year, but they lost.
Yeah, you're right. The team is most famous, however, for winning 20 consecutive games.
Yeah, but see what that movie doesn't mention. It mentions Scott Hatteberg and Justice and Chad Bradford, but they failed to tell you that team had 3 20-game winners on it.
Who finally beat the A's to end their consecutive win streak? Trivia time. We've been naming off everything else.
I believe it was Kansas City, but not.
Which team broke the A's win streak? You said Kansas City?
I'm pretty confident it was Kansas City.
Alright, this is from Wikipedia. In one of the most famous moments in Oakland athletics history, pinch hitter Scott Hatteberg then hit a 1-out solo home run off Kansas City reliever Jason Grimsley. Mm-hmm. The home run clinched the AL record. Well, that's not what I'm asking for. Who ended the A's?
It was Kansas City.
Austin Hayes ends at 13 and 8-1, lost to Orioles. That's not.
No, that's not what you want.
No. Hold on. Which team broke 20-game winning streak? Athletic A's.
Oakland A's.
Well, this is all coming up that.
Well, I mean, they're not going to tell you who broke the thing.
Well, somebody, it's got to be here. The 20 consecutive, April 23rd, 20 at 5 a.m. I guess it was Kansas City because they were playing, and that's when they won the Kansas City when they won their 20th game.
Mm-hmm. That game was in Oakland.
All right, so 2002, Oakland A's. What am I looking at?
It was in August.
Schedule. So let's look for a bunch of W's. Here we go. So August 30th. Okay, so you were almost right. Now you were wrong. Finally found it, folks. All right, so they beat the Kansas City Royals on September 4th, 2002 was our last win. Mm-hmm. And they were 88-51. So then they played on September 6th against the Minnesota Twins and lost.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is their part of their 20-game. Yep. It started back in August 13th.
That was 20 games.
Yeah, and then they won 20 games. But the Minnesota Twins, God, what the hell happened? I mean, 0-6. But then they won the next 3 games.
Well, it's probably one of those games that Zito or Mulder or Hudson didn't pitch.
Probably. So okay, so those are Twins. So you're almost right. I got you on one.
You got me on one.
Okay. Good job looking ace. Let's take this one home.
Okay.
We've been talking for a while. You think?
I think it's good.
Anything else you want to say before we call it a day?
No, just thank you for having me on the show, and I will be catching a plane.
Catching a plane?
Yep. Because I had such a long trip to get here. Okay.
Stick with what you're doing. Don't do stand up. Did you your wings hurt because you or whatever it is? I just flew in and made my wings hurt.
Take care, everybody. I hope everybody has a great week.
Oh God. We had a great show until you had to do a sweet joke like that. All right. That's all I have. Nothing else for you?
No.
All right. Good news and good night, everybody. We're out.